Welcome to the People's Choice Award podcast, brought to you in partnership with Tier 1 People and Fintech Australia. The Finnies, Australia's largest and most prestigious fintech awards, are fast approaching, and we want you to be part of it. Sponsored by the Victorian Government and major partners Vocus and SwiftX, the Finnies are a chance to celebrate the amazing people, incredible innovations, and remarkable resilience that the fintech industry is known for and built upon. Thank you to MasterCard for sponsoring and presenting the award for Emerging FinTech Organisation of the Year at this year's Finnies. We look forward to seeing everyone on the 9th of June in Melbourne, and don't forget to make your vote in the People's Choice Awards. I'm joined by John Winters, who's CEO and co-founder of Superhero, and they're in Emerging FinTech of the Year category. John, first of all, congrats to everybody at Superhero for making it to the finals.
Thanks, Dexter. It's pretty exciting. It's actually the first awards that Superhero has ever been nominated for, and certainly the first awards that in my business career that I've been part of. So pretty exciting over here at Superhero.
Well, fantastic. And look, I'm sure it'll be the first of many. But we're here to talk a little bit more about Superhero. Could you tell our listeners a little bit more about the business and what you do?
Sure. So we only launched late 2020, but we launched as Australia's lowest cost share trading platform. But what we really try to do is we try to make investing accessible. So you can come to Superhero, you can create an account in a matter of minutes, and you can start investing in direct shares or ETFs for as little as $5 a trade. And what we've seen is a huge amount of people come onto the platform and they're either experienced investors who know their way around investment markets, but we've got a lot of people who have come on and they're just starting to dip their toe in that wealth creation journey. And they're starting with Superhero, which is fantastic. Now,
it's been a really interesting period since COVID hit. With the markets tanked and then we're seeing kind of record levels. What would you say is the big problem that Superhero is addressing in the whole investment space?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. We as millennials, we've seen our parents and grandparents.
Hang on a second, mate. I'm a Superhero customer, right? And I'm no millennial.
I'm generalizing. You can be a millennial for the day. But we've seen, and I'm sure it'll be for you as well. We saw our parents and grandparents growing up, and they were investing in shares, and many people had a portfolio of bank shares, and they've built wealth over many years, many decades. And it's always been, certainly for me growing up, it was always this thing that was quite sort of out of reach. It was like I needed to get to a point to be able to be accepted into that club to be able to do that. And if you look at society, the stock market is where a lot of wealth is created, and it is like it's a club. Where the wealthy play and the wealthy make money. And what we're trying to do is really trying to break down those borders. We're trying to break down that thinking and make investing accessible to everyone. So it shouldn't be the wealthy who can invest in shares and generate a lot of wealth. We should be able to start as early as 18 with as little as $100. And no one's brought that to market before. No one's brought that proposition to market. Let's make it low cost, low barrier to entry, the ability to start investing today. And ultimately, by the time that you are, in your 40s, 50s, 60s, your knowledge, understanding of wealth creation, it would be so much further ahead than previous generations. And ultimately, your wealth will be so much greater than previous generations as well.
Now, one of the things that's always frustrated me, John, is the lack of ability for me to move my money quickly. And one of the cool things, I think, when I signed up for a superhero account is, and it's even improved since then, but I think I was kind of one of the first people to download or go onto the platform because you didn't have the app at the time. But one of the cool things that for me was that I signed up within 2 minutes, and 4 hours later, I'd invested in shares. Contrast that with the account that I've got with my Big Four bank, and it was probably, let's just say it was a bit more of a painful kind of story to share.
Yeah.
What is it that you've seen kind of evolve around the behaviors of some of your customers, and how they're kind of benefiting from this almost immediacy of being able to get an account and being able to invest?
Yeah, well, I think people want things on demand these days. You want to be able to turn on your TV and watch what you want straight away. And if you have your money, you want to be able to put your money to work straight away as well. You don't want to wait overnight or 2 days or 5 days for a check to clear or for a payment to settle. And, that's kind of old school. When you sign up with us, we actually issue you with a unique pay ID, and you can deposit funds into your account immediately. We're actually about to roll out your own unique BSB and account number. So you get a virtual cash account when you sign up with Superhero, so you can deposit into your own account. But it is that immediacy that people want. And we looked at it and thought, wow, the banks are probably holding people's money for a period of time. They generate interbank lending rates over, interbank interest rates over those funds over the day or two that they're holding the money. But if you give people the flexibility to do what they want when they want it, you ultimately get to this point where people don't do things in a reckless or irresponsible way, and that's what we're seeing. It's not giving people that immediate access is what they want in the first instance, and it is improving customer behavior as well. They're making smarter decisions. They're saving more money. They're investing in better companies. It's actually been quite interesting to see the behavior change and prosper with the way that we've built the platform.
Yeah, and there's obviously been a lot in the press with GameStop and Reddit groups, and what is kind of making, I think the regulators pretty nervous as well, and we've heard some stories around how Robinhood's been benefiting and is in collusion with hedge funds, etc. Kind of conscious that people aren't comparing Robinhood with, say, a superhero, because it's a very different approach that you've got. Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit more about how the business works and kind of where you're focused?
So it is very different, and I guess the Aussie market compared to the US market is very different. So what some of the US competitors do is, firstly, in the US, when you trade with an exchange, so when someone puts on a trade, it goes through your broker to an exchange. The exchange pays the broker a credit for the volume. In Australia, we've got a duopoly. We've really got a monopoly in the ASX. And you pay for the pleasure. So when you want to place a trade through a broker, it goes into the exchange and you pay the exchange to execute your trade. Because the US is so competitive, it's reversed. So the exchange pays you for volume. And they're called exchange credits. Or what we've seen in the media, it's payment for order flow. Now, what some companies have done is, instead of trading directly into the exchange, they actually sell their flow, or they trade with other high-frequency trading firms, which may give you a slightly worse price. So, an Apple share may now be, 1 cent worse than what you were going to pay. So instead of paying $130.21, you may actually pay $130.22. And that 1 cent is getting split between the high-frequency trading firm and the broker. So yes, there has been a lot of noise, and that doesn't exist in Australia. So you can't do that in Australia. It's actually creating a false and misleading market if you were to try and do that, which is against the market integrity rules, regulation. It would have serious, probably criminal charges brought against you if you were trying to do it. So the Australian market is fundamentally different. When it comes to things like GameStop and the frenzy that we saw in the market and what we've seen on Reddit, Facebook forums and things, I think a lot of what we're seeing is noise. So whether it's payment for order flow, whether it's Reddit comments or forums or all of this social media stuff, there is a lot of noise, and it would be a very small minority of the market that is on those forums, but it gets the most voice. That's the interesting thing. So there's all these people on those forums, but it would be a small percentage of the overall market. It is getting a lot of airtime. It is getting a lot of voice in the market. But I do think, and I always say to people, I caution people, do your research, and that does not mean reading people's comments and theories on Facebook.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the behaviors are shifting, and you look at some of the growth that we're seeing, and it's almost like traditional fundamentals have gone out the window. You talked earlier about the traditional portfolio and it being bank stocks, and we're seeing what seems to be very much a kind of a huge change, a paradigm shift in not just in industry, but it's being reflected in the way that people invest as well. How have you kind of helped your customers with that fundamentals piece and the research? Do you have any tools within the platform that can help people kind of get their heads around investing?
Yeah. So what we see, one of our taglines is invest in what you're invested in. And some people say, what does that mean? But it's actually pretty simple. You're invested in a lot of companies, not financially, but by using their products. There'd be a huge majority of Australians that use an iPhone. They understand the product. They understand the business. Airtasker, which recently listed on the stock market, people understand their business model. They understand the product. They understand the brand. And it goes a long way when you're investing. You need to understand what you're going to invest in. And the easiest way to do that is to look at companies that you use and that you know. And that's what we're seeing certainly what we see on the platform. We see a huge amount of investment going into US tech themed investments. Things that have big weightings: Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Netflix. It's those sorts of companies that people use every day. And in Australia, things like Afterpay and Zip and Airtasker. It's those companies that have awesome user experience. They get the customer. They're customer obsessed, in the same way that we are here at Superhero. Where if you look at the banks, it's a constant struggle it's a constantly poor experience that people have. And it turns people off from an investment point of view. So in terms of coming back to your question, in terms of how do we help people invest, what we've actually done on the platform is we've categorized the market. So if we've got about 2,500 different investments on the platform, all ASX listed shares and ETFs. But you give people 2,500 choices, and you always get decision paralysis, unless you're an experienced investor and you know what you're going to invest in. But if for someone who's starting out, going to dip the toe in, going to start to put some money to work, whether it's $100, $500, $1,000 or more, it's like what do you start with? So we've categorized the market very much the same way as what you would see on Netflix. If you want to watch action and adventure movies, what we've done is we've broken it up to Cashless Society or I Love Gold. It's a bunch of gold miners, gold ETFs where you can invest in actual gold bullion through the ASX, whether it's big banks, all of the banking stocks. So we've broken them down into easy to understand categories that people can digest. People can look at those individual companies and then decide which one they think is the best. We're very cautious around not giving people advice. We don't understand everyone's individual circumstances, but we do want to help people make make that decision easier for them.
Brilliant. Now, I think we had you on the show the week that you officially launched.
I think it was the first few days, yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And it's really cool to see the bus ads everywhere and to see your name kind of driving around Sydney. It's awesome. It kind of comes whizzing past my house every now and then. I see superhero.
It's just as awesome for us as well. Oh, there's a superhero bus.
Yeah, but look,
cool.
what kind of growth have you seen since you launched, John?
Well, I can't remember how many people we had on the platform when we caught up. I think we had.
Well, you had an extra one, I think, as soon as the podcast finished, because I went online.
Yeah. You're part of the claim to fame. I think we had a couple of thousand people sign up the first day.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was all hands on deck. Responding to people's inquiries, emails. We had live chat going. It was great. If we had phones, they'd be ringing off the hook. We've got about 65,000 people who have signed up now.
Excellent.
Which is fantastic. It's fantastic growth. It's so rewarding for me to see where we started out for myself and Wayne, my co-founder, starting out almost 3 years ago, trying to get this thing up and going, and really going through the process with the regulators and all of our different partners to bring it all together, to being able to launch a product and have so many people validate our idea and love it at the same time. It's pretty awesome.
Now, you mentioned, Wayne, one of the biggest challenges facing any founder, if they're not a tech person, is finding a high caliber CTO. And you've got one of the very best in Australia in Wayne Baskin, who's also one of the co-founders at Booktopia. How did you manage to go about attracting such a kind of key hire as one of the early people to join the business?
Yeah, so I have to agree with you. Wayne is one of the, if not the highest caliber tech guys I know. He's really driven the platform to where it is, making sure all of the, obviously the tech works, but there's a huge amount of regulation and administration audits that go behind it as well, which falls under his remit. But in terms of attracting him to the business, Wayne has been a good friend of mine. I reached out to him really early in the concept phase of Superhero, and I said, "Hey, can you have a look at this? I'd love you to be an advisor and help me get this going." And he looked at it and he said, "This is you're onto something here. I don't want to be your advisor." So sort of like, so it's really good, but you don't want to be involved. He's like, "No, I want to be your co-founder." So I was pretty excited. So he jumped in really early on. It was about three years ago. Just last month actually was the 3-year anniversary of kicking things off. He's got a lot on his plate. He's the deputy CEO and CTO at Booktopia, which is going fantastically well as well.
They're listed recently.
Late last year, and they just announced their quarterly earnings. They're up about 260%.
Wow,
which is fantastic. So he has 2 full-time jobs. So he's full-time at Booktopia. He's full-time at Superhero. I don't know how he does it. I think he certainly needs to sleep. I don't know if he actually does. But yeah, he's been a massive win for the business, and he's certainly my business partner in everything we do. We've put together a great foundation, being Superhero as it is now, and I certainly see it being a much bigger business as we go forward.
Yeah, and how many people have you got in the company now, John?
Number 30 started today.
Wow.
So we've got 30 people in the business. Yeah.
How's it been launched? Yeah. How's it been launching a business in the midst of a global pandemic?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. The timing, we were very fortunate with the timing. So in March last year, we had been working on Superhero for about 2.5 years, or about 2 years. And global markets crashed. We didn't have a product in the market. The business was around superannuation. It wasn't just around trading. The superannuation part is coming. Watch the space. The global markets crashed. Credit markets started tightening. Pretty much everything fell off a cliff, and we had to do some serious soul searching. We had a product that was far from an MVP. It was way more developed because we'd been working on it for so long. We had gone through a huge amount of regulatory, checks and balances, and we had limited cash in the tin. So we actually decided that we would strip out some of that superannuation regulatory overlay that sits under APRA's remit, and we launched the trading platform direct to consumers, which at the time was, there was this huge flurry of investors moving into global equities because the markets had tanked so quickly, but they retraced so quickly as well, and they've obviously kept going since then. So it was actually a really interesting time to launch. We were able to acquire a huge number of customers very quickly. There was a huge demand for this sort of product in the market, and a huge lift in awareness across the market as well. I remember it was actually around the GameStop time. But I remember coming home one day, and my wife said, "Have you seen this GameStop company?" I was like, "Yeah. What do you mean?" I've been a broker for 15 years. She's never spoken to me about stocks ever in my entire career. And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "This thing just keeps going up. We should buy some." I was like, "Whoa!" So she's obviously been on Facebook forums, maybe even read it. So yeah, there's this huge lift in awareness around wealth creation. Everyone was at home. They were in lockdown. They were trying to supplement their salaries with other ways of generating wealth. So yeah, I mean, timing. We were very fortunate with the timing. Very fortunate.
So when you look back over this last 12 months, what would you say you're most proud of that you've achieved you and the team have achieved at Superhero?
Well, we've only been in market for 8 months. So if we look back over 12 months, I would say the launch, actually getting the product up and running, would have to be number one. The team that we've built and the culture of the team is certainly up there as well. Like we've got a fantastic team here. Everyone loves coming to work every day. We're all in the office. Whether it's team lunch or ping pong tournaments or working through some of the challenges and some of the triumphs. We're all in it together, and that's certainly something that makes me very proud. And excited to come to work every day.
Fantastic. Look, and I guess this is the People's Choice Award, John. So if people, for those that are listening, why should they vote for Superhero?
Yeah.
And you don't have to be humble here, right?
Yeah. Look, I think the people will vote for the company that resonates most with them. And certainly what we've seen is our product is resonating in the marketplace. We have our first sort of goal is to love the customer, to love our customers, and make sure that they have the best experience. That's number one for us. And the feedback that we see on our social pages and emails, giving feedback about the platform and things. While there's some constructive criticism, there's overwhelming support for what we've done and how we're changing people's lives, and that it makes me very proud to be able to bring this to people, and it's fantastic to see so many people welcome it and sign up. So I hope every one of our customers would vote for us, and I hope so many more who are yet to be our customer will also believe in what we're trying to do. And see that and vote for us as well.
Well, John, congrats to you and everybody at Superhero for making the finals. I mean, you're in such a esteemed company. The competition just gets stronger every year, and so it's such a great achievement for you to get this far. And we wish you all the best in the finals.
Thanks, Dexter. Thanks for all of your support as well. It's been great to have another chat with you.
Thank you to MasterCard for sponsoring and presenting the award for Emerging FinTech Organization of the Year at this year's Finnies. We look forward to seeing everyone on the 9th of June in Melbourne, and don't forget to make your vote in the People's Choice Awards.